Was a stock that put to sea. The name of the stock was GME. The price blew up and the shorts dipped down. Hold my bully boys, hold. Soon may the tendy man come to send a rocket into the sun. One day when the trading is done, we'll take our gains and go. She had not been 2 weeks from shore when Ryan Cohen joined the board. The captain called all hands and swore he'd take his shares and hold. Soon may the tendy man come to send a rocket into the sun. One day when the trading is done, we'll take our gains and go. Before the news had hit the market, Wall Street bets came up and...
Welcome yet again to This Week in Comics and Manga with your host, Balander. I hope you enjoyed the intro. Before we get into the comics and manga, gotta start the music. Chat's open here, chat's open there. I need more screen. Or the ability to stick shit on top. Let me see. Let's resize this. I'm a professional fucking so. Okay. Alright, this time we're just gonna start off where the slideshow thing about leaves me. And we're starting off with my favorite newcomer in the manga industry, and that's Dantdan. It's an absolutely amazing manga that is free on the Shueisha app, and everyone should be reading. If you don't have the Shueisha app, depending on where you are in the world, get Manga Plus. It's also free. It's the same thing. For some reason they couldn't figure out the... I think it's the licensing. I don't know what it is. It's awesome. Everybody should be reading it. But in Dantdan 48, chapter 48, this is volume 4? Doesn't matter. We get the big conclusion to the arc. Chiquitita, the baby crab guy, aims the giant words Phlegma at the magma to cool everything off, while our big waifu protagonist, or waifu, she's a kid, but you know what I mean. Momo just sprints. She just bucks it to save Okarun, and wouldn't you know it, it's a big fucking magma hole over there. She can't get in because it's too hot. She asks Chiquitita to aim the Phlegma into the hole, but it don't work because she just pulls out a big, I don't know, it's a big ball of Phlegma as well. Which Okarun got stuck in because he was trying to save Turbo Granny for some fucking reason, because he's a nice guy. Not much happens here because this is the big conclusion to the arc. Grandma has shown up. She tells everyone else like, hey, why do you not understand my code speak? But anyway, everything is captured, the Phlegma worked, Okarun is saved, and this is where this manga uses tropes better. You know the typical trope of, oh, the male MC trips over something, falls to the girl's tits, and proceeds to go because he can't deal with a woman in his face. Well, in this chapter, Okarun trips. He just falls into Momo's hug, into her arms, and she just holds on to him. She's like, I'm sorry, I was useless, couldn't do anything. And of course he still goes, but not as much. I absolutely love this manga. This was a bit of a slow chapter, but it got some very good moments. It is the conclusion of a story arc. It's okay to be slow. It's how it usually ends up. We get ups and downs, and this is the down, and hopefully next chapters. Here's the thing, I've noticed that whenever there's a conclusion, the quote-unquote down chapters are usually like 2 most often. So we're probably going to get like a cleanup chapter next week that's going to end on an upward trend for the next chapter after that. But regardless, this is still a 10 out of 10 manga. The art style is absolutely gorgeous. I recommend it to absolutely everyone. It is free to read from start to current day on the official Shueisha app. Next, manga. Where are my controls? There we go. I wish I had set up like one button for both platforms, both Reddit and YouTube. Next manga is another manga that I really enjoy, which is also free. Big shock. All the manga that I do recommend here are all on the Shueisha or Manga Plus app, whichever region you're in, and they are all free. So go read them anyway. Like, worst thing that happens is you lose 20 minutes. Anyway, Diamond in the Rough 28 is yet another slow chapter. Last week was slow because it was a big conclusion. Now this is the conclusion that starts to have that slight upward trend. This is a slow chapter that has a slight upward trend. And it's just a chapter of like training the two weaponsmiths to join the crew. They have their cute little sidecar, which is another, you know, another giant turtle but smaller one. Yo, Wyatt, what is up, my dude? Welcome. We're still in the early bits of the show. We're still talking about the manga. Current one is Diamond in the Rough. I don't think there's like a English title with a cover for it, so I'm just using, you know, the Japanese one. But back on track with the show. While this is a slower chapter, it has the upward trend. The two weaponsmiths that join us. We get the cute training session where Ko and Kai, such similar names, easy to fuck up. Ko and Kai have this sibling rivalry going on. But at the end of the chapter, they do reach the Holy Dragon Village, and I am excited to see more scenery art because this manga is drawn by a lady I found out last night, yesterday. Because I don't give a shit who you are, I just care about your work. But this manga has some of the best scenery art I've seen. I absolutely love it. It's bloody gorgeous. Again, this is Diamond in the Rough. It is free on the Manga Plus and Shueisha apps. You can read it from start to finish, start to current day. But before we get to the next manga, water break, because this time I remembered. I don't know why while I'm doing these reviews that I treat it like it's a short and I had to like Gatling gun everything out. But here's the thing, it's also a weekly release. I'm not reviewing the entirety, like the first volume or X arc. It's just a weekly chapter. It's like 20 pages. There's not much to talk about because it's quick. The action is quick, especially when there's like a lot of fight scenes, as it's very well known with Kaiju number 8. If there's fights, you can read the chapter in like 3 minutes. Anyway, next manga. Speaking of quick reads and big fights, Ayashimon. Again, free, read it. You're not gonna lose more than 20 minutes. Ayashimon is Yakuza mixed with demons, basically. I think it's kind of like the Yakuza video game. Does it have like superpowers or supernatural elements? I don't know, I haven't played, but it's basically Yakuza with demons. In Ayashimon, Maruo, our main protagonist, is still getting his ass whipped by the Durag monster. But his little big sister, who is in telepathic communication with him, goes like, hey, you know what makes speedy Durag boy slow? Liquid. Water. So we just gotta get Durag boy wet so it can't speedy up that much. And so they do that. She navigates him to a nearby fountain and she's like, hey, taunt him, because, you know, he's still a dummy. Taunt Durag boy to charge at you. Dodge Durag boy so he can hit the fountain and get all wet. And the plan works. Maruo taunts him with like the most stupid essence of them. Like, you can tell this boy has like zero expertise in the arts of flame. He just goes, hey, you stupid dumb stupid head. He's like early days Castiel from Supernatural, like, hey, butthead. No, ass. Was it ass butt? Oh yeah, he called fucking Lucifer ass butt. Anyway, the taunt works, and the Durag boy is about to hit the water fountain, but they thought he couldn't break, but they were wrong. He literally deploys a Durag parachute. So he stops himself. He's like, you thought you'd outsmart me. And they did, because his Maruo just jumped right behind him and punched the well instead. Because he is one of those protagonists that spawned from Jujutsu Kaisen, I think that's Jujutsu Kaisen, like the progenitor of physically overpowered characters who are going to grow in like the other aspects. Yuji in Jujutsu Kaisen is going to grow as a person because he's still a kid, but also magical. In Doron, the protagonist is again physically overpowered, but he has no spiritual energy. So he has to, you know, work with Kusanagi, the actual monster, for spiritual energy. And Ayashimon, the guy needs to stop being stupid. Well, being physically overpowered. And I don't know where else he's going to go because this is only 16 chapters in. This has been out for like very little time. It's like a 20-minute read. It was fun. The art's good. Here's something that I noticed yesterday while I was doing all my weekly reading and setting up for this is I find it a lot easier to recommend all of the manga that I'm reading right now because it's been, you know, commentary on like quality and coming from a good place aside. It's free. It's free on the officially supported platforms. You can also have the argument, well, everything's free because, you know, or 7 Seas. But this is free on the officially supported platforms. Like you don't even have to go through the morality of pirating. You just go on the official thing and bloody read it. Yes, they're doing the thing where they're pigeonholing people into reading on the phone app, which I'm not a fan of because I have to like enlarge. I have to go enhance if I want to look at the art more. Because my phone isn't a giant phone, like a basic, I think. What are you? Oh, it's a Samsung. But yeah, I wish I could do that on the web app instead. But what I can do is just read it on the phone app, and whenever the physical thing drops, the volume, like I did for Kaiju, I just buy that and read it again. Because it's bloody awesome. Anyway, next, manga. Speaking of newcomers, Kaijuki Chef has been out for... Wait, I can do math. What? 7 weeks. This is its 7th week of it being out. And it's imagine if Sanji was a kid, but he also had Zoro's sword. Direct parachute sounds hilarious. So it's like the homeboy hero. Yeah, I'm experimenting with the way I review things because I'm trying to suck up some of that Lyle Wrath energy. I just need to have some more sound effects of my own voice. But that takes extra practice. I need to find the zen of screaming because that teaches you how to properly scream without destroying your voice. But I'm basically doing them here live as if this was like a scripted, highly edited YouTube video. And since I don't want to do a highly scripted YouTube edited video, I prefer doing it live because then I can get into more conversation like we're doing now about the books. Dude, water's so good. Anyway, Kaijuki Chef is in a world where giant monster animals are somehow flying in the air and their meat is extra tasty and has healing properties. So our main guy is a chef with a magical sword who wants to hunt a specific monster so he can heal his childhood friend's arm that got bitten off by a monster. Anyway, in the previous chapter it ended by the chief of the Kaijuki restaurant they've headed to train for saying, "You guys gotta tighten up," and they were like, "What?" Keep in mind, the main two characters, the male and the female, are like childhood friends, but they're like, you know, secretly in love with each other, but they don't know it yet because, you know, they're stupid kids. So that got the typical reaction that I talk about. But it turns out that it's not they got a tie, it's some elderly couples out there since the whatchamacallit, the chief of the Shinsengumi, I think was called, the Kaijuki restaurant, likes to play tricks in games. Like, oh sorry, I misspoke, it's not about you guys. You gotta go help this elderly couple, but before you go, the hot secretary, the weird hot secretary's brother is gonna join you, and wouldn't you know it, he's just as weird as her. He gives and takes points that don't mean anything. Like if you like do a bad point, he's gonna be like, "Ooh, that point is bad, minus 50 points," and those points are fucking meaningless. They only matter to him. Anyway, they go to the elderly couple. They give their backstory. They're like, "We really want to have that swordfish meal we had like back when we were young, before we got separated." They're like, "Okay, we're gonna go hunt some swordfish baddies." And swordfish don't travel in schools, so they go to the place, to the prefecture where the swordfish hang out, And wouldn't you know it, not only are the swordfish hanging out in a school, it's a whole goddamn cartel of swordfish. So they get overwhelmed, they get attacked, and our magical sword dude forms a shield where they can take a breather because they didn't fucking expect that to happen. While they're doing so, they eat some disgusting heavy on the vinegar onigiri. And Isa, the girl with like the missing arm, who got a magical tree implant arm, uses her powers to skewer the swordfish monsters with trees, because her power is that she can grow trees basically out of any tree growing material. So seeds, if she touches the ground, if she touches a branch, you get the point. If she is basically she is like baby female Michael D. Nicole in his green thumb. She grows the trees, she skewers a lot of the swordfish, and at the end of the chapter, we see the similar little girl that summoned the giant octopus monster hanging out on the edge of the cliff going, oh my, oh my, oh my, being all ominous and shit. So this is getting deeper. I hope we get a proper conflict with that character, because we've only seen her twice summon and do a bunch of bullshit with a monster that don't usually do stuff like that. But this, yet again, like I mentioned, I think the art here isn't as stellar as Dantdan and Diamond in the Rough. It's like an idea before. I think the author is a rookie. I think this might be their first, what do I call it, their first title? I don't know, because I don't look this shit up, because I only care about the book itself. Even so, it's still enjoyable enough for me to recommend it. It's free. It's been out. This is at 7th. It's not even been out for 2 months. I think it's like no, it's not a 10-minute read, because they talk about Kaijuki and how they heal. Different Kaijuki meat heals differently. So it's probably like a 15-minute read to catch up. But it's fucking free. So fucking do it anyway. Next, manga. I need to clap better. I got big hands for it. Yeah, we spoke about Dora a little earlier with its physically overpowered protagonist who needs to grow in other directions. What are my notes? Here we go. Dora 15. This also has been out for, I think, 3 months now. It started off with like 1 or 2. I think it started off with like 2 chapters a week for the first couple of weeks, then it went to like 1 chapter a week. Still, very new book. Spoiler alert, on the recommend. Our protagonist guy teams up with other protagonist guys, and one of those guys like, oh, I used to be friends with the monsters here are called Mononoke. I used to be friends with Mononoke, but it turned out it wanted to just, trick me and get into my pussy. And this is how I got these scars. And he's really excited that Dora, our main protagonist, is friends with a Mononoke called Kusanagi. And he uses Kusanagi as a sword because, like I mentioned before, Dora has no spiritual pressure or energy, however you want to call it. So they go to their very first mission as official samurai, which is, hey, there's this monster that fucked a bunch of shit up at this place. You gotta go over there and take care of it. The guys we sent there earlier did not come back, so we presumed them dead. So they go there, there's a whole bunch of destruction, and they gotta split up. There's too much ground to cover. It's gonna be Team A, Team B. And Team B, which does not include our protagonist guy, it includes the other guys, head into the forest, and they end up finding spider webs. And a cute spider monster wife who shows them, she's like, ooh, I'm going to slice you up. And did you think that a pretty little thing like me would be alone here? No, this fucking ugly bastard tag monster shows up, slaps the shit out of him, and is like, oh, my bad, I was only supposed to like hurt you, not murder you, not one shot, because I want to keep you as snacks. So everything goes south pretty quickly. I think one guy just ends up he gets killed like at the very start. Like the way this series can go from like action comedy a la Jackie Chan to straight up Attack on Titan people dying like that out of the blue is good. It's stellar, and I hope it continues to do that. I like the contrast of action comedy to morbidity. Not morbidity, to... What's the word I'm looking for? It's not grotesque. Carnage. Or, as we know, Attack on Titanic. Killing characters you just... I mean, they are characters you just met, so you probably didn't care about them, but it's still killing people out of the blue because it's still a dangerous job to hunt monsters. But at the very end, before our new friend who likes Dora's friendship with the monster gets murdered, Dora shows up, he cuts through the spider webs and is like, oh, menacing, like, I'm gonna kill you all. You ain't killing my friends. And that's how the chapter ends. That's pretty good here. Like, here's the thing. I try to read and review shit that I think positively of, or at least neutral, so we can keep these things positive and bring something new and interesting to people to check out. So it's obvious that most things on here, especially the manga, are going to be a recommend. I've done this for like a few weeks now. This is still on my reading list, so I'm gonna recommend it. If it's not on my reading list for some reason, it means that it dropped off in quality, and I'll tell you about it. Anyway, next manga. Or is it next item? Because we could very well drop from manga to comics. Wait, why is this different? What's going on here, Reddit? Reddit, where's my comics? Where's the Kaiju number 8? Wow. Why isn't my Kaiju number 8 screenshot in here? Anyway, you can imagine this is Kaiju number 8. I don't know what the fuck happened. It's showing up on the YouTube thing, but not here. And I'm using the same folder. This is weird. This is stupid. This should not be happening. Yo, R-Pen, fix your shit. Kaiju number 8. This has a very interesting schedule. But before the schedule, a word from Water Break. Kaiju number 8, chapter 48. This has been out a while. I think it's like a few volumes in. I got volume 1 here. It was delayed a whole bunch. It was supposed to come out in October, and I got it like mid-February. Fuck, almost. We're at the end of March. Holy shit! Like I got it like a month and a half ago. Anyway, we're still in like the slower chapters because there's a bunch of talking and strategizing because big bad monsters are on the rise, and the entire team, like the Japanese defense or the Earth Defense Force, whatever you want to call it, the defense monster military branch, like, hey, it looks like these monsters are coming out from like deep under the sea, and we don't know if they live in a pineapple. They just might, but we can reach there regardless. And it seems like the monster that ate our captain can also retain memories of the things it eats. So if it ate our previous general, we can assume that it knows all the things the general knows. So we gotta start doing some unprecedented shit. We gotta pull out the new stuff. One of which is training our new guys that the general didn't really know about. He knew we had some new people, but he didn't know we had proper talent, so we gotta bring them up light speed. And also we need to train someone who is compatible with Monster Weapon 6. And I almost bit my tongue there. And wouldn't you know it, our boy Leno is back in the game, back from being nearly murdered by Monster 9. And wouldn't you know it, he's also the guy who's compatible. He's the top candidate for Monster Weapon 6. And that's it. So Leno is Kafka Hibino, our main protagonist. He's his first friend when he, got bit by the monster bug when he first transformed. And Leno did his very best to handle his part of the monster killing job so that Kafka wouldn't need to transform into a monster, so he doesn't expose himself. And he got badly injured in the first fight with Monster 9. Kafka had to transform to beat the shit out of it. Or at least beat it back. Elena has been feeling sorry ever since. He was also fucked up ever since. So he's back now. He's relevant. He's going to go up in his relevancy as a character. And I'm excited. Finally, we're going on that upward trend that I talked about earlier. when it comes to adventure action stories. Yeah, this is another recommend. This read this 48 chapters for you to sit down in an afternoon and enjoy some. If you like monster fights, kaiju fights, this is for you. It's not pretentious. It's not trying to do this grandiose, a la Evangelion or what's the other one? Code Geass or it's not trying to be too smart. It's action with monsters and a couple of cute girls. That's it. Now, next manga. Hopefully this is gonna work this time. Next slide. There we go. Megalumiere Co Limited is something that I didn't think I would read because it's magical girls and those aren't usually my thing because they don't focus on action as much as the pre and the post of action. But this one does, because this is our main protagonists are two ladies. The one on the right is Kana, and the one on the left, the one with the half blonde hair, 80% blonde hair, the dyed one is Koshigaya. Koshigaya is an absolute unit. She's the talent, she's the bronze, she's the execution part, and Kana is the brains, who is also, she's also a dark horse. She's also a talent. But we're continuing. This is also the 7th week. This is on par with Kaijuki Chef. They came out at the same time. It's also releasing 2 chapters per week. So again, you can catch up on it pretty quickly. There's plenty to. No, it's not too much to read. It's like 30 minutes. Anyway, the previous chapter we went off on a collaboration with a cosmetics company that has a magical girl branch. And the routine inspection they went on for this chapter seems to be, the typical routine inspection. Nothing's happening. They get stopped. They don't get stopped by Lily. The cosmetics company Magical Girl just keeps droning on about chocolate and sweets because their magical girls are more like brand ambassadors, and she's like the embodiment of like gracefulness and beauty and femininity and magicfulness of a magical girl. She's more of an idol than a monster exterminator. But while that routine inspection was going on, weird noises were heard from the building, actually the demolition site next door, and they were like, "Hey, that sounds like a monster. We gotta check it out." And wouldn't you know it, it's actually a monster. It's made out of debris. Debris. It just eats the debris and keeps growing in size and power. It tries to fuck Lily up. It just gets her all dirty and whatnot. It doesn't do much. They also burst open a pipe and they all get wet. And initially, Kana, our girl on the right, is like, "Oh no, Lily's gonna get mad because her gracefulness and beauty was destroyed." Meanwhile, Lily is just smirking badassfully. Is that a word? Badassfully? It is now. And she was like, "Wait, I thought you'd be upset." And she's like, "Why would I be upset? This foundation is waterproof, baby!" This is fucking hilarious. Such out of left field. And since the debris monster just eats dirt and and rock, they're like, "We're gonna use the water to negate it, just like a Pokemon." But it turns out that it mutated with the water, and it became even worse. And they started throwing rocks and shit on it, and also cut Lily straight across the face. And she held her ground. She smiled. She cleaned her face up a little bit. She was like, "Follow my lead, bitches. I'm gonna deploy some mad shit by calling reinforcements." So they call reinforcements from like another company. It's like the top company that has like, I think, one magical girl that's like one-shotting everything else. She's all business. She's dressed like a maid, of course. So the maid shows up and she's like, "No time for introduction. This seems to be weird. This is a mutating. We don't have that on record. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to pull out of record magic. So I'm gonna lead, and you bitches do what I tell you to do." And that's how the chapter ends. The third company that shows up is the company of another character that used to be friends with the owner of our main protagonist company. So currently we have like 3 companies that we know of. It's Megalumiere, you know, the protagonist company. We have, oh my god, Kaya was it? The company of the collab we're doing now with the pretty girl, with the cosmetics. And now there's the third one. And the owner of that company used to be friends with our protagonist company's owner, but they fell out and yada yada. There's going to be a bunch of drama. But the action's picking back up. And we're seeing more and more how Magical Girl uniforms, transformations, and magic. Because their magic is, the magic here is kind of a mix of technology and magic. Like it gets developed like code, but it also gets used through like a magical broom. But anyway, this is yet another recommended. It's pretty lighthearted. Like so far there hasn't been anything like that. There haven't been like people dying. It's like a very lighthearted, sometimes silly, very silly action comedy Magical Girl book. That, hey, if you want something that's has some punch to it, but the punch still wears kitty gloves, Megalumiere Co Limited is for you, baby. Next, manga, which is no longer manga. It's comics, baby. This is where I think I wrote the most when it came to comics, because I have issues with comics. Comics like shooting themselves in the feet a lot. Now this comic, I heard it was good, but I was like, it's just Chip Zdarsky. He's a little bit hit and miss. He's not feast or famine. No, he went past that. When he's on, he is on. But he tends to hit these slumps. I can understand a slow issue because there's been, you know, it's ups and downs, but sometimes the downs are gonna show up out of nowhere and they are very boring. But they don't last as long. But so far with Batman the Knight, I've been very pleasantly surprised. Chip Zdarsky is exploring here the actual 0 year of Batman. This is Bruce Wayne, who is going like, hey, I'm vengeance, and I'm only vengeance. He's no symbol of hope. This is him learning to be the absolute bloody best. We have Carmine Digiakomenko, I think I pronounced his name properly, on art, who is absolutely stellar at his job. Where did I leave my notes? There we go. So this is Batman, who is currently in France. He's more Bruce Wayne than Batman. There's no Batman yet here. He is in France, he's learning to be good, and he has to, in order to catch thieves and crooks, he has to be one, to be able to think like one. And he's getting trained by this mature, blonde French woman. So they go on their training adventures, and at the end of like a mishap of an adventure, Bruce gets all passionate and kisses her, and he goes, oh no, I'm sorry, and the lady pulls back and she's like, oh, you're very cute. And here I'm like, this Bruce gonna get some. He's gonna get some French cougar poo-tang. And no, he doesn't. She's like, oh, you're too young for me. If only I weren't this much older. And I'm like, bitch, nobody cares. Fuck, I'm disappointed at Chip Zdarsky for not giving Bruce the opportunity to snag some mature French poontang. It's, come on, dude. Like, comics have this constant fight that with themselves, and they go, hey, our current audience are like middle-aged white dudes who have money to pay $5 or $6 per issue, so we should write for them. But at the same time, you're keeping yourself super prudish, as if you're writing for like 10-year-olds. Dude, have you not seen manga? If there's going to be a kiss or something salacious gonna happen, let it happen. Don't. It's just, it's nothing really. It's just me being picky. But god damn it, Chip Zdarsky, you could have. It's a missed opportunity. It could have been a lot more entertaining. It could have been better. Give Carmine the opportunity to draw a sex scene for like a few pages. You do less work, he does more fun work. Everybody wins. The comic gets talked about. I guess recommend where Bruce Wayne is shown to be learning. Not incompetent, but learning and improving, and also slaying slash. But that aside, It ends up that that failed robbery was from someone who was a mass murderer. And was it Frank? Yeah, actually forgetting the guy's name who, you know, properly trains Batman afterwards. Shows up and is like, you guys just stole from like a mass murderer from a serial killer. So they're like, hey, well, he's still a serial killer, we gotta go fight him. So they go to his house, they set everything up. Batman flies through the window with like no protective gear on, just in his fucking coat. Crashes through and sees a murder on the floor. And he gets very mad at the murder. So the murderer shows up to do the murder on Batman. He's like, I'm not gonna let you do the murder on me. He starts beating him up and he almost does the murder to the murderer. But the blonde cougar shows up and stops him and she's like, I've taught you everything I can, but you're all fury and vengeance. You can't, I know what you're trying to do, but you won't be able to do that as long as you're just fury and vengeance. You gotta go with Frank here, so you don't do the murder and become a murderer. That's how issue 3 ends. And interestingly enough, I can recommend this as a single issue. It's probably going to be amazing when it gets collected in a 10-issue trade. It's probably going to be a hardcover knowing mainstream comics, because they like shooting themselves in the foot and reducing the availability or the purchasability of their comics. But hey, this is still, so far, a good story. It's been only 3 issues in. We give these new writers a few issues. Usually they write arcs in 6, but since this is a limited series of 10, might take longer. I'm hopeful that Chip Zdarsky fulfills on this. He's going to be the new main writer on Batman, so they probably know that he will at least produce something decent. But here's the thing though. Current leadership is absolute dog shit, especially with editorial, so I don't fucking know. He's probably produced something that they like, and that it's not necessarily the best one that he can produce without guidance. But I'm still hopeful. I hope Chip Zdarsky does great. I hope they don't change artists midway through this. Just keep Carmine on this for the whole 10 issues. And I can tell you right now how issue 10 is going to end. It's going to end with Bruce sitting in the study on his father's chair with a bat flying through the window and him saying, "Yes, father, I will become a bat." Because, you know, this is Zero. This is Batman before Batman. Anyway, water break. This is a recommend, yet again. Probably better in trade. Oh my god. God damn. Water's not the kind of thing I was hoping to choke on today. It wasn't a big gulp of water either. That's the stupid thing. It was a small one. Anyway, near-death experience aside. Next comic. Oh boy. Next comic is Detective Comics. It's been coming out weekly, which was fun. And that's the only that's where the fun ends. Because first off, Nightwing isn't even in this issue, so why is he on the cover? He was thrown through a window last issue. He was saved by Batman. Tremendous entrance, by the way, very well executed. But this cover, first, doesn't tell anything about the story. What's going on in this issue? Second, it's not done by the main artist. This isn't a variant cover. This is your A cover. And it's not done by the main artist. So when you buy a main cover, and you see this art, you expect this inside, but you don't get this inside. Which is the stupidest thing they keep doing. And I wish DC fucking stopped it. Anyway, that is, you know, the obvious pain aside. Harley Quinn is still in this, and her dialogue is absolutely terrible. It is painful to see it. She stop writing psychotic characters as XD random. I'm so random suicide girlfriends. It's not how it works. Fucking talk to Shep and Shedrick if you have to. Pay the man. But don't do this. It's fucking painful. It's stupid. It's not funny. It's not fun. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see Harley in a comic that's not Harley Quinn for at least 3 years. It's painful. It's oversaturated. I used to love Harley. I completed the 52, the new 52, along with some of Rebirth, with her own solo story. Wow, it was still good. Wow, Amanda Connor, I remember her name today, and Jimmy Palmiotti were still in the book. That aside, Harley is sometimes drawn with a chest with a ribcage that's bigger than mine. And also Batwoman in that one scene where she flies through the window, which is good. She's drawn flat. She is drawn like she has no boobs at all. And you can't tell me, oh, it's because of the angle. No, but the angle of her clavicle and the contraction of her chest muscles would have made her boobs look even bigger. But no, she was drawn like a guy with like white hiss flying through a window. It's fucking stupid. Like the artist looks to have potential, and the editor didn't have time, or since we know editor is dog shit, editor wasn't like, hey, where are Batwoman's boobs? Batman's boobs. His are there. His are there. But hey, that aside, there's this painful. I couldn't find enough info on Anna Volson's part because I went through DuckDuckGo and probably not through Google. But Anna Volson was like, hey, you don't know how I got these scars? It was because of men who tried to control me, and then I controlled them for controlling me. But it turned out that me controlling and hurting them was them still controlling me. It's men's fault. I fucking hate this. Fucking Mariko Tamaki is showing her ugliness again. Write this at Marvel, not at DC. Fuck off. So Huntress gets into a fight with her, and when she counters her, she shoves her, and Anna Volson goes like, ouch, that hurt. What the fuck is that kind of dialogue? It's so stupid. Like, ouch, that hurt. Like, you know, you were fighting earlier, you were all claws and fangs earlier, but now when she shoves you, she tackles you, you go, ouch, that hurt. It's fucking stupid, man. It's, oh my god, the dialogue is very often excruciating here, or pointless and unnecessary. Where is the editor? Oh my god, DC fucking comic, come on. You can't get any worse. I at least have some vision and direction of what to do instead of this. Anyway, there's a big kerfuffle at the end where Batman finally gets inside the building. He stares down Scarecrow. He's just literally standing, arms crossed, looking at Scarecrow. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, mate? You're just gonna stand and look at him like, oh, this is... And Scarecrow is like, is this how you thought we'd meet, Batman? No, he should be flying through a window, landing on Scarecrow's eyebrows, and putting him in an arm lock. He shouldn't be just staring him down. Jesus fucking Christ. This is also, there can be a distraction more of the lady skin work. Batman's just there. And at the end, the Psychopat's mask gets kicked around because, you know, there's multiple parties fighting on this floor. And it gets thrown or kicked, you know, maneuvered to the wrong person's feet. And that's Mayor Nakano's wife, who was scared shitless 5 seconds ago. But the second she saw the mask, she was like, no fear. And I'm like, what? It's stupid. It's poor. I hope she lands this, because this is a 12-issue arc, I think, so it's supposed to end next week. So far, Mariko Tamaki has botched every ending. Somehow people still think this is decent. Maybe the start and middle portions are okay as an overarching story or as a whole. But in the previous arc, every time something important about happened, Batman was just there. He wasn't the one moving it. It's the same thing that happened with James Tynion's Fear State. Every time a plot moving moment happened, Batman was just in it, but he wasn't creating the movement in any way, shape or form. This is the same. I fucking hate it. I can understand that specifically Detective Comics to be more of a family book, and sometimes Batman doesn't have to be the main guy who moves everything, but this is your third story arc so far. And this keeps happening. Batman just, he is there for the ride. You can fool the editors because they're bad, you can't fool me. But the worst bit about this comic is the constant art changes. If you would have just put fucking Ivan Rice and Danny Mickey on this, it would have been stellar. Because the guy is an absolute god when it comes to art. And Danny Mickey is also a god in his own right when it comes to inking. It would have been at least something people would have bought for the art. And just have a mediocre story to the side. It's like the sauce or the garnish people usually don't touch. Anyway, I can't recommend this in good faith. First, because of everything I said so far. And second, it's damn well expensive. This is $6 dues. It's not even dollar dues. Dollar dues are Australian dollars. 6 actual real American dollars, not Monopoly money, per issue. This is 11 this is $66 so far. So the trade for this is probably going to be 1. I hope it's 1, because I like a thicker trade. Because manga is like 240 pages, while trades are 120 for comics. And they also come out soon. Why are trades and comics coming out super late, if I may ask? If the trade is 6 issues, why isn't the trade out when issue 7 is out? Why is the trade out when issue 12 is fucking out DC? I know you don't like money, but this is stupid. And everyone who hears this information is gonna tell you it's stupid. And yet you've been doing this ever since I've been reading comics. On topic, I can't recommend this. Not even for the art, because the art is inconsistent. They keep changing it. Even if you put Dan Mora and then Vic Bogdanovich and then Ivan Rice and then fucking Greg Capullo for some fucking reason, it's still going to be painful to see, because while those guys are awesome in their own right, the story as a whole keeps radically changing visually, that it becomes a shock to read it. And this is a visual medium. Visual medium. People read it for the art, not for your stupid blather that just floods the pages. Anyway, next comic. I hope I don't lose screenshots again. Next comic is the book that I'm most torn about. Because I keep saying that The Flash is feast or famine. This issue was most definitely a feast. Flash 780 felt like a classic Flash. Even the art resembled it. It was at times off or stiff. But I've also been trained to Brett Booth, so any Flash that doesn't run like Brett Booth's Flash is going to feel a bit stiff to me. But I probably have to reread the entirety of the Flash post Josh Williamson, so that I can probably rethink my opinion on this. But on an issue by issue basis, it's just feast of famine in my eyes. I'm happy this is a feast issue. I had a lot of fun with this. This is the classic Wally costume, and while I like it, I want Bert Booth's one. I want his suit, because that defined Wally more as his own man, instead of him being like the Flash at home. You know, Mama, I want Flash. We have Flash at home, and it's Wally, who, you know, in my opinion, is the better Flash, because he's faster and he's not so stuck up about science with it. Anyway, back onto the actual story of the book. This is feast. I don't even know where to start. Everyone's getting powers now because of some disturbance, and Linda is a woman in modern comics, in modern mainstream comics, that is written to be a caring, loving wife and mother. And shocking, I know, but she was like, I'm gonna kill those kids. I don't know where they are. I have powers. I don't know what's going on. I can't reach Wally. Kids show up and she just goes like, oh my god, I'm so glad you're safe. And that's all the family drama. And while Wally's like, I'm fucking tired. I can't catch a break. I just need a nap. But Hero Emergency calls on the phone. He's like, yep, it's time to go to wife. He just boasts because that's what Hero do. he goes to save the day. And while he does that, Johnny Quick, I think that was I think that's his last name, Johnny Quick, is causing a whole bunch of ruckus because he's looking for the treadmill. He's looking for the Speed Force treadmill, and turns out that Amanda Waller was the one who sent him to get it because he had some sort of vision. He was trapped in the Speed Force. When he got pulled out, he was like, I saw everything die. I saw Wally West die in between the seconds. Nobody can do anything. And Amanda Waller was like, what if I helped you? And we all know how Amanda Waller helping things turns out. But anyway, Mirror Master also shows up during the fight with Johnny Quick, and he's like, oh, mate, I ain't got no time for you. I got one guy, Johnny Quick, tries to steal the treadmill, but Mirror Master was sent by Rick Flag to destroy it so that, you know, it can be used. Specifically by Amanda Waller. So everyone ends up fighting everyone, and while Wally is trying to fend off Mirror Master, be like, oh, man, just get off my lawn. Johnny Quick ended up stealing it. So, classic Flash issue. Very, very enjoyable. The art is serviceable. I think the artist either needs a bit more time, schedule-wise, or a bit more editorial help. But editorial needs to know about art. And the same idiots told Brett Booth that they don't know what a panel is. It's just a box with art and just... Anyway, this is a recommend, maybe in trade, because I need to reread this. Because this is the book I struggled the most with. It's either feast or famine in my eyes. So, if you've been enjoying everything so far, yes, this is a recommend. Or if you want this as a single issue, I can recommend this, but you won't know what happened before that. I hope the trade is better. I might have to reread it and be like, hey, it's not that bad. I'm just spoiled. Next comic. Should I do grades for these comics? I don't want to think about doing grades though. Next comic is a series that flew under my radar, and that's Titans United. But I have an issue with this cover. The coloring, it's either the art or just the coloring or both, feels off because it uses purple without any basis to use it. It just uses purple because, oh, that's what we use for shadows, and it creates hard edges on specifically on the females' faces, on Donna and Dawn's faces, where it just doesn't look attractive. It's rendered professionally, it's competent, it just doesn't look as attractive as it can be. And we're talking about Donna fucking Troy here, baby. Anyway, Titans United is the end of the series. It's a 7 out of 7. Is it a set of it? Yeah, it's a 7 out of 7. It's the end of the series. It's going to be great in trade. The art is your typical DC house style. It's competent. So far, I haven't found anything that's like, ooh, that's a bit off. It's competent. The story is like literally all the Titans that you've read about, like united against this big bad that turns out to be Blackfire. But anyway, Blackfire is like, well, our plan was under attack, and in order for me to show our people that they can trust me, I had to use another plan to get attacked. And of course, Soup's clone. It can't be Baby Soup. That's John Kent. Although he's no longer a baby because he got aged up by Bendis. Anyway, Clone Soups. Like, I'm sorry I was a dick. He makes up with everyone. And it turns out that the powers that are running rampant in like a bunch of random people are like Argus sleeper agents. And the only way to save them is by using Blackfire's thingamabob. Her Deus Ex Machina that she put out of nowhere. It's probably something I've missed because I wasn't keeping track of the series. But in this single issue, it just looks like, oh, I'm just showing up with a machine that can actually fix our problem, but it's going to turn everybody's DNA to sludge. And Clone Soup is like, no, we can't have that. There's always an option. So he smashes it. Here's something I have trouble with. It's not trouble, it's a problem I have with, I think it's page 8. Where Clone Soups and Nightwing burst through the ceiling into like a guarded Argus base or something. And it's shown in like a 4 or 6 panel progression. I'm like, dude, have one. This is where, you know, communication with the writer, artist, and actually, you know, editorial doing their job and knowing what an exciting page looks like. Could have said, instead of having 6 boring ass pages, have like one small inset establishing panel then have a splash page of like Super Clone and Nightwing bursting through the ceiling of the building. That's an interesting splash page, not that fucking storyboard bullshit that you gave. Anyway, that aside, turns out that the big bad green guys are like in Earth's atmosphere. Atmosphere? Yeah, atmosphere. But Blackfire and Starfire managed to call people from Tamaran, and they do a big Star Wars spacey battle where all the Titans and ships from Tamaran do the fighting with the green guys. And it was too short. It was like 2 pages of fighting. I'm like, that's all you could give me? 2 pages of a star fight? Very big missed opportunity there. Is it bad? Not necessarily. But it could have been a lot better, could have been a lot more fun. We could have seen more space fighting, and somehow Soup's clone can fly now. I guess that's what happens when you get deep throated by Blackfire. Anyway, at the end, everybody's saved. Blackfire and Starfire have to go back to their own planet so that Starfire can convince the people that Blackfire, although a cunt, is still fit to lead them. And of course, Nightwing is like, oh, I might join you, might have a threesome with the 2 sisters, because, you know, my name is Nightwing Jean Amour. Anyway, as a trade, this is fine. As a trade, if you want to read the Titan story, if you miss seeing Donna Troy specifically, out of all the Titans, I miss Donna the most, because Brad Wood draws a great Donna. If you like the Titans, this is good. This was fun. There was some twists and turns. The art's decent. It doesn't change. It's the same artist throughout the entire series. But this is an absolute recommend in trade. Next comment. Wilds, fine, but before that I would try to drink water, not drown. There we go, mission successful. Boy, oh boy, who let the dogs in, baby? Mark Waid is back in DC and he is touching with his grubby little golem hands not only Batman but also Soups. But despite that, this so far is good. Credit where it's due. We're judging people here not on their character, not on the professionals, not professionals, not on the people who are working on this, but on their work. We're judging the work here. And the work is good. It's Dan Moore drawing, so it's going to look absolutely stellar. But there are a few missed opportunities here. Like the first one is, there's a scene where Soup saves a kid, and the kid has a Superman toy that it drops. You could have given me a small panel where Soups saves the toy and gives it to the kid. Never miss out on the opportunity to show Soups as the bestest boy ever. The Boy Scoutest of Boy Scouts. This is the most important bit that people have been losing and missing out on for Superman. Look at Deku from My Hero Academia or All Might. You need to have these absolute pinnacles of goodness to exist. I was gonna say Scott Snyder. Scott Snyder did it in his was it Death Metal or Metal? I think it was in Death Metal. Yeah, in Death Metal where Superman comes in to restore everything to the world. But in Doomsday Clock, Jeff Jones knew this, that in order for a superpowered universe to survive and to live, there needs to be that one pillar of absolute goodness. That is Clark Kent, that is Superman. Both of those, the same guy. You can't say, oh, it's John. No, John Kent isn't Superman, he's Superboy. Fuck off, Tom Taylor, you cunt. Anyway, never miss out on the opportunity to show Superman as the bestest boy. A better writer will do this, or at least a better editor will tell them, hey, this Superman pinnacle of goodness, make sure to show it. You have an opportunity here. It's 2 small panels or 1 panel. It's in the one inside panel in the splash page just to show Superman handing the boys Superman toy back. That is plenty. That is all you needed to do. Anyway, when in continuity is this story? Because it doesn't say, and it looks like to be very early in the continuity. Because this is, by the way Robin talks, this is Dick Grayson. Because Tim doesn't talk silly. This is Dick Grayson, and this is at the start of Batman and Superman's relationship, where they know each other's identities, they're friends, they trust each other. But so far, it might not be because we're not told which Robin is this, but by the costume, I assume it's Dick. Could be Tim. I don't fucking know. I'd like to find out because this doesn't tell us where they are. The good thing about this is that Doom Patrol showed up and did an absolute stellar job of saving the day, or helping to save the day with Batman having the plan for it. But to backtrack a bit, the story goes: Poison Ivy shows up in Metropolis to do the eco-terrorism, but Batman and Robin have been tracking her, so they show up, they beat her as Batman actually Chuck Norris kicks Poison Ivy in the tits. But wouldn't you know, Metallo also shows up with Kryptonite, and he, of course, he beats Superman up because Kryptonite weakness. He also stabs Superman with a cocktail of red Kryptonite. So he goes all berserk, he goes crazy, he goes absolutely chaotic. And while they're trying to do with Metallo and Ivy, Superman starts wrecking the place. And this is where I say, who asked for this story? This is yet again the upteenth story of, oh, Superman is bad or Superman is a problem. Like, can we get any other story? It was executed okay, and how it was set up, and how the Doom Patrol came, and they're like, oh, we're going to use Negative Man and get to contain the radiation, to contain Superman, yada yada yada. But I am tired of seeing the pinnacles of goodness being like, oh, he bad now, oh, he a problem. Like, better writers have done this. Other people have already done this multiple bloody times. Oh my god, can we just have a down-to-earth story where it's like, oh, Superman good, Batman edgy, world's finest, one is a detective, one is a farm boy, one has superpowers, the other doesn't. Like, calm the fuck on. This is how Mark Waid returns to DC, by doing yet another derivative of like Superman bad. And that's what you said when you wanted to touch Superman with your grubby little goblin hands, Mark Waid. Oh, Jesus Christ, dude, it's so stupid. I hope that this turns around, because it doesn't say how many issues it is. It could be an ongoing, could be a miniseries. You never know with today's comics. They don't tell you. And it's specifically outlined beforehand, like, you know, Titans United and Batman the Night. But I hope this turns around quick. Next, Superman better be up and running next issue, because I fucking swear this is going to be a misuse of Dan Mora's fucking art. I can't recommend this in good faith. Hopefully, in trade, if the story improves, or if it switches gears to something else. Worst case scenario is going to be something that you buy for Dan Mora art, because he's drawing both Batman and Superman and Robin. He drew an absolutely beautiful Poison Ivy. But I hope it's more than just Dan Mora art book. I want a proper story that I can enjoy, man. Anyway, next comic. I did that YouTube switcher a bit too fast. Is Carnage #1. I don't know if we need another Carnage book. It's yet another no story. But it's a bit different. This is written by Ram V, and it has quite a bit of gore and pun intended, carnage. It looks to be more of a horror book. And there's a serial killer who, like an artist, he likes setting up people in like different ways. He treats his murders like a canvas and yada yada yada. And the serial killer has been literally performing human sacrifice with these people so that he can summon Carnage. And when you know it, Carnage shows up and be like, oh, you like killing, let me show you my killing that I've been doing. And Carnage uses Hydro Man to turn him into a portal like he's a fucking Splatoon gun. And that's how the issue ends. Art is not to my liking. It's a bit too digital, line weight's a bit too stiff, coloring is also when the line weight is dead, stiff, there's no thick to thin, and your coloring is also super flat, I can't fully engross myself into the art. Hopefully this is better in trade. I don't know if we need another Carnage story, and hopefully this isn't another yet. Oh no! But Anyway, next comic. This is a fast one. I don't know if we need another Carnage. speaking of things that I don't know if we needed. Jason Aaron is still writing Avengers. Oh boy, so I haven't read Avengers in like a long ass while because I just don't enjoy Jason Aaron's writing anymore. So we get thrown into this book, and Thor is fighting an edgier Thor who also has his mommy by his side to cheer him on. And somehow, Starbrand, you know, the baby Captain Marvel, got adulted up by using her power. And also, a no dog is there. Also, Doctor Doom is there, and Thanos is a kid. And the whole dialogue, the dialogue during this issue is so, I don't want to say cringe because it wasn't cringe, but it was confusing. I was like, what is going on? And because it's a Jason Aaron, he has to ride Jane Foster Valkyrie's dick hard and deep and dry. She somehow knows how to do the surgery to someone. What the fuck is this book, man? I can't recommend it. Jason Aaron has lost all credit with me. This is an absolute disaster misuse of art. The art is okay, but... oh boy, man. Oh boy. What the fuck is going on? Next book. Now this book, you gotta take with a pinch of salt because this is Scorch number 3. I'm an absolute simp for Spawn. He's my favorite comic book character, so I will do my best to not be biased here, but come on, everyone's biased. This is Todd McFarlane's Wildcats, X-Men, Avengers, Justice League, Titans, whatever you want to call it. It's a team of Spawn characters. And of course, we're thrown into the battle. And we're fighting angels this time, baby, with big shitty boom booms. And we're tearing through them. And they use Plague and a living bomb to drop it on the angels. And Plague just runs through them, and he ends up getting to our guy, to Reaper, who we're there to save. But before Plague kills him, Mask Fetish guy shows up and does the killing to Plague, saying this isn't the real Plague. If it was the real Plague, we would have all been dead by now. But anyway, he makes the team an offer they can refuse. Like, hey, the previous gas mask fetish guy just wanted to kill everyone, but his methods didn't work. We want to work with you so that y'all can go home to your times and angels and demons can fuck right off. And like, okay, let's hear you out. But while they're doing the talking, we get a flashback of how Reaper got captured in the first place. And wouldn't you know, he got captured because he was distracted by She-Spawn's big fat ass. In the 1 second that he acted human, he got jumped by angels and got abducted. And here's the thing. Steven Segovia is an absolute great artist. I love his work. Tell the guy to give She-Spawn a double D at the very least. Go for an F cup. Just give her giant badonkadonks. Come on. Also, the name She-Spawn is fucking stupid, Todd. Name her something different. One name. I know She-Hulk is there. I'm kind of okay with that name. She-Spawn is just stupid. Anyway, this is a recommend. But I have one gripe with this. This is written by Sean Lewis. He also writes King Spawn. I don't know if this is Todd. Either Todd putting his own words in because there's additional quote unquote script by Todd in this and every Spawn comic. But Sean Lewis over narrates, especially during fighting scenes. There's this absolute blabber. I'm like, why? I can see what's going on the page. You don't need to tell me. You don't need to enhance it with more pretty words. Just let the art breathe. And it's going to do its job. And Todd does this, and now Sean is doing this. And I wish people stop doing this. This still is a recommend. Next book. Wait, is that the last one? It can't be. Am I missing shit? I'm missing shit again, aren't I? King Spawn is supposed to be... yeah, okay. So imagine, use your imagination. King Spawn is here. It's in the fucking folder, but it's not showing up here for some reason. King Spawn, I still don't know why that book exists. Is it a DLC? Is it the B book? I don't fucking know why it's here. But here's the thing. Spawn ends the fight that he started in the previous book with like this cult of priests thing, or they call it the court of. Is it a court? It's a court of priests. It's a whole bunch of edgy characters. They're like, oh, we want to serve you, but we also have to prove ourselves by fighting it. Something stupid. But here's the thing. They're like, you're not ready to take the crown, because you don't know the power you're gonna have. And we thought you had power, but you don't. You just have rage, and rage isn't power. You only get power by sitting on the throne that's waiting for you. And Spawn's like, I'm sick and fucking tired of listening to everyone telling me what I need to fucking do. So he kicks them out. He beats their ass and they go like, well, we're gonna retreat now. But you also need to raise your queen. Wanda, that died back in the start of Spawn, can be brought back to life. And we get thrown into a flashback of showing how Black Ezreal brings Wanda to the green, where no blood will be spilled and no one from heaven or hell may enter or stay. So Green Lady is like, you can't bring that dead bitch over here. I know you people are stupid. Get off my lawn. Or I'll stick my big gory doggo on you. So Black Ezreal kills big gory doggo. He spills blood. He breaks a law that's been there for eons. And he also buries Wanda there. And at the end of the issue, Wanda opens her eyes. Oh, anyway. It was entertaining. What was the artist's name? No, Javi Fernandez is the artist. It's good. He needs to be allowed to flex with his art more. Because this is, again, Sean Lewis writing this. He's over narrating. Fucking stop. You don't need to give me this isn't a novel. This is comics. It's a visual medium. Visual medium. Let the picture speak. A picture is worth 1,000 words. And fucking don't. I don't need 1,000 words from the picture. I don't need the 50 words from you. They're going to say the same thing that's already been said in the picture. This is probably better in trade. Still don't know why this book is here. I appreciate that it is. It expands Spawn more. I hope that it doesn't cause any continuity issues. But I'm not the one to complain about more Spawn, especially when it's entertaining. And that was the last of the books. Is everything that I read this week? There are obviously things that I skip that I think that I would not enjoy, that I would just flame here for 30 hours 30 minutes non-stop. So if any of you want a specific book or trade for me to review, you can mention it. Otherwise, this is going to be the end of this week's stream of this week's Manga and Comics. I need a proper intro. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, for listening, for afterwards reading everything that I recommend, because you're legally obliged to. I'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.